Right. So today I will give you a bit insight in what is the company approach I'm working for, so 1.5, in the sense of how do we create our business model, what is our focus, and how we achieve that. Please feel free whenever you have a question to just interrupt me. I'm perfectly happy to discuss on point and to get the momentum then. Let me just share. Anya, you need to give me the access or the to share something. It gives me the notification that I'm disabled to share. When you're talking, we can't hear you. You're muted.
I know no habit with being muted. It's enough for sharing, or you want to have the host? I can give you the host as well if you want.
No, it's not working.
Okay, I shared. Perfect.
Good. Yeah.
Very nice.
All right. So here, just like presenting scene, some of my co-workers and our founders you see in the front. It's in Hamburg located, our office quite in the green. And yeah, topic of our general company is to develop novel sustainable packaging solutions. And we claim ourselves as a biomaterials research, development, and scale-up company, meaning we are trying to get a better way into the packaging solution space by having cleaner as well as tailor-made solutions, and to get it much faster to the market than common companies currently. So, and the way we do it generally is, just to give you a brief insight, that we have a quite big network with whom we're working. So starting from universities, institutions, customers, brand owners, as well as converters, meaning we have the whole infrastructure as well as knowing what is state of the art in both sides, industry as well as university, so academia. We go in there with an algorithm-based solution search. This is something what I will address later on a little bit more. So we can really identify what is the best solution for actually putting money on it, developing, and so on. This is something what is more important for our partners, that we also have to give them basically an interesting feature, why we are not only from the sustainable perspective, but also from a commercial perspective, is that they will then have exclusive rights to the solutions we are developing together. And also the modular approach means that we have different solutions in our portfolio, but we can kind of interchangeably stack up to meet the customer requirements, or also the market and product requirements, to get to all over better solution, what's protecting especially food stuff better at the end. Also fast development, as I mentioned before, focus is to be as fast as possible, in the sense that we don't really have time for the climate change. It is ongoing, so we need to make it as fast as possible that there is a change. There are actually alternatives on the market what have a better environmental impact than current ones. And of course, what is also important for the companies with whom we are working, the big brand owners, just to give you some names. Big brand owners could be somebody like Tetra Pak, you heard last time, is also a converter. And they have just a general R&D capacity by themselves. So usually they spend 2 to 3% of their revenue into R&D. What is not that much, and meaning something like a third party, what we are, would extend their R&D capacities and capabilities, and also their knowledge, their expertise. So the way we do it is basically we're asking the customer, what are their requirements? So kind of in a product brief. This can be, especially when it comes to food packaging, what is the base material? Do they want to work with paper, for example, or which thickness of base material is actually good for them on their machines? Because it's only sensible to work in the same machinery instead of getting a whole new capacity and building up a whole new infrastructure. What would at the end also leading to huge waste because the old infrastructure is not up to date anymore, and so on. But also, what are the requirements to actually protect the product they are looking at, they want to package? So barriers like oxygen barrier is a keyword, or water vapor barrier is a keyword to actually protect as long as possible the product at the end. So those kind of questions or those kind of requests we get from the customer. Next step would be the technology search, what would be on our end. So something what I'm also doing, what is actually the best possible solution to fulfill those requirements, and also on top to fulfill our environmental requirements. Ongoing then with actually coming to an agreement together with a customer, where both of us are co-development, co-investing into the solution space and into the development and the whole scale up into the actual market. So we have different steps we have to go on to go through, meaning the lab scale prototyping to actually have a proof of concept. Then we have the pilot scale, what would be more like a proof of material or product, and then pre-industrial scale and scale up is proof of the whole process. And this then, when every step is went through, we can actually go on the commercial distribution and then also finding our solution in the supermarket, for example. So first step, as I said, is the product risk, the customer responsibility. But the problem is, how do we do actually the technology search? Because technology search can be everything up to a patent, a paper from institutes, and so on. And we have a huge amount of patents out there. Over 54 million patent families are already in the space, and one would take, an only human, it would take over 1,000 years to actually read them, to scan them through. And I mean, we have constant publishing also, like this is like every day today is a new patent out there. So this number is just increasing and increasing. So this is something what nobody could actually physically do, even when we would have a super large team, meaning we have actually an algorithm what is mining those solutions based on different criteria. And something what we have as more important for us is sustainability criteria, as well as the performance, commercial feasibility. This is what I also mentioned before. It has to be it must be a drop-in solution into the market. Otherwise, it wouldn't be accepted from the customers, from the ones who are actually bringing it on the market at the end and distributing it in the world. So, and also something, what is the consumer understanding? So the consumer also wants to have something nice at the end. This is how we work. This is how we choose at the very end. And as I said, we come there by having an algorithm, meaning we put in the customer product brief requirements. We have all the patents together. So we have access to them, as well as unpublished technologies, meaning something what is still sitting with the universities, what they haven't published yet. But we are familiar with this because we have our network of universities with whom we're speaking, with whom we're connecting to know what else is maybe there, what we can scale up in near future. This comes all together on our algorithm, also together with all the factors I just mentioned, like sustainability factors and so on, and leaving us at the end with a feasible amount of relevant solution. Now it's just an X. Usually we have like 2 to 3 solutions, what we deem as just for the product we are talking about, as good enough or even better than current technology, to scale it up and to optimize it towards the end. Oops, sorry, this is exactly. Meaning we would be here on our little snake. We've done our technology search, and then we will present these technologies, the potential technologies, to our customers, and starting to go into an agreement. What is the best one? What we actually want to scale up together, because everybody's on the same page. And also we come into conversation negotiation. What is the best co-investment for both parties? We also look into funding from government. So there's also a lot of potential capacity, what we can bring in together, because a scale up and a development can cost up to $1 million or even more. So there has to be capital coming from somewhere, right, to make this actually happen. And a solution we're actually having at the very end, to give you a little bit of a better picture, could be anything in the packaging space, from going to flexible materials up to rigid beverage cartons. And you see there are a lot of different layers. So this is something we also spoke about in the last sessions, that we have always the problem of different material streams coming together to actually giving our whole solution of packaging. And recyclability is a huge topic, that not necessarily everything can be recycled, but also we will always have parts of petro-based plastics, what would end up in leakage, for example, in the wastewater as microparticles and so on. However, to get those high barrier function to actually protect our product at the very end, we still need to aim in a layered system. But what we do is to replace each layer by a better solution, and to have at the very end either a fully recyclable or a leakage-free, less or leakage-free packaging solution, depending on which product we're looking at, and also which market we're looking at. So also something what we discussed last time is that, for example, those little sachets end up in some countries and some markets much more often in the environment than in others. So those are also things we take into account by developing our next solution. I honestly can't tell you more what exactly are the solutions we're doing. This is unfortunately a little bit confidential, but just for having you an overview in which product segments we're looking into. And exactly, next step would be actually the scale up. Yeah.
I have a question. Is that okay?
Yeah, please.
Yes. I'm interested to know in how the sustainability of producing the packaging factors in, because obviously, it's a multi-way issue.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very good question. So the production by itself is also very important. So meaning just because we choose the technology right here doesn't mean in the whole process it doesn't get changed anymore. So we will always constantly, the whole process of scaling it up, making it better and optimizing it to have always go to better and better sustainable factors, but also in the very beginning at the technology search. So looking into algorithm, sustainability factors are also addressed in the scale up. So the actually process, how we are coming to the product at the very end. So all those indicators are constantly in there and screened. And even though we might end up with a commercial distribution of one product, this is not the end stage. Something like this is always being optimized afterwards, always come to better and better and better product. For some, nothing is perfection at the very end, right? At the very beginning. So Did I answer your question enough?
Yeah, basically that you're continuing to optimize things, but that
Exactly.
the production matters as well.
Exactly. And something we also have to, what I have to address here is not everything is foreseeable at the very beginning already, right? So the whole actual assessment of the sustainability of a process can be only estimated at the very beginning, because when you look into high scale, you have a much better way how to make circularity. For example, if you use cooling water or if you have a heating process, so you can use those flows much better in a big scale than in a lab scale, for example. So this is something we can, in this stage of lab scale prototype, only estimate, and then calculate in a direction where we think or know this is the best way of how to make the process circular. And this is something what can definitely also be misleading, and this is something we always have to continuously recheck and critical think about it by ourselves, definitely. And exactly, so this is already from my side, from the general how we get to our products, how we have our business model. You only see our current team. We are 35 people at the moment. And yeah, thanks for listening.
I have a question as well.
Yes.
It is a so it's an intelligent based system. So it's an AI system behind. So it's a self-learning system. What you have behind all these processes and these matchings.
Set them in the future. It will be a rather self-learning system. That's true. At the moment, it's still fractions of this are quite manual, because things like this are not developing themselves so fast, right? And one of our biggest problems is also data availability. So a lot of those processes, it's hard to find data automatically currently, because a lot of companies or a lot of industries are not giving out their data freely. So meaning something, we are also in the same time working in the lab by our own to create actually primary data to make the assessment at the end more accurate.
As far as I understood the system, sorry to insisting on the system, but that is really, it's I think it's so amazing. And I never had the chance to talk to somebody about something like that. As far as I see the system and it is self-learning, you mentioned as well that somebody is starting, when somebody starts a process just for them own and their own pattern, it's highly costly. So it's a cost intensive. So for your customers, it's really, I think isn't it a good argument that they finally have the chance to participate of all the different connections and the different knowledge was already connected on the platform. And then at the same time to reduce their costs on research and development. And that I think by the more people come, the bigger the march will be for the people as well. And looking to this point, how do you think your first mover effect will last? So you said you had already somebody on the who's doing similar things, but the more developed the system will become, and as well for others maybe to develop systems like this from the technology point easier. How do you describe your first mover, the duration of your first mover or your moving chances?
I don't know if I got you right, the question at the end. So what do you mean with our first mover?
It's an immense, I think it's immense investment in this. it's a lot of investigation as well. So you have a lot of research to do, and now of course you are very fast. So I would like to know, what are the parameters? What keeps your competitive and competitive advantage? So even if we don't talk about first mover, because there are already people on that page, but how you what are the most important key assets you develop, and you develop maybe faster or better than others to keep your advantage on the market and becoming that attractive as you can be, because it's amazing what you're doing.
So one of the biggest things, as I said, speed. So with a system like this in hand, you're able to make this number very much smaller, right? The theoretical number. Secondly, we are looking into a diverse portfolio. So we're looking into everything what is out there, meaning we will always be up to date, meaning also we are not only coming out with one product, because a lot of startups who are also in the same space like we are coming already with one product, with one material at the end, what is only usually working for quite specific fields and applications, meaning with being as broad and as flexible with this also as possible, we could enter actually every space. And therefore also win every customer what is interested in changing into a more sustainable product at the very end. And then secondly is we also come in with our own capital, meaning not everything is at the customer end. We're saying, okay, you give approximately half the bet, we give the other half of the bet. And maybe you say a third one, we a third one, and the other third is coming from fundings, depending what is out there at the moment, right? So, and those are very, very positive points, at least what we got from the customers up till now, like only positive feedback. And also what we know from our competitors, theoretically competitors, is nothing that they can come up with. And then we have people like Thomas, who has a high expertise, right?
Yeah.
So can I make a comment? I think with the time to come, the power of 1.5 will increase, because I mean, the first year I'm working with them, they have come closer and closer to the market requirements with the ideas they have. And as the market is very diverse, they can use a part of solution A and a part of solution B to create solution C. So they will come in a phase where they get synergies between the yet to be developed or finally to be developed products.
Yeah.
So I think that is something from a product side and from an algorithm side as well. The algorithm will learn from the input. I mean, we have gone through loops. I remember that we looked into liquid carton patents, and we found out that one big company, I don't need to mention the name, was missing on the list of patents. So there was the feedback to the system, and this is always continuously happening. So on one hand side, the algorithm is getting better because it's a kind of artificial learning with what is going on there. And then when it comes to the output, to the products, there will be so many synergies in the future with the products which are under development. So I don't think that there is a risk for the next couple of years that competition catches up. And at the end of the day, when we develop solutions, we always try to patent these solutions, or 1.5 always try to patent these solutions to protect the intellectual properties.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So the first point when Mara, thank you, Thomas. When you started, I see a lot of connections to the idea what we have in our platform And I know as well the challenges if you work directly very broad. So what you say, most people coming up with a solution in one area. So as well in my field, it's the same. They come up with one solution, one area, but it's not interlinked and interconnected. That has a big chance for the future, but it has as well a big effort in building up because yeah, it's complex like it is. But I'm very impressed by the way how you do it, and your company is doing it, and Thomas, you're consulting it. What kind of capacities? So everybody else has a question, please. Don't let me run the show here.
I have.
Yeah, okay, go first. I can note my my question. Sadvik.
Yeah, I have one question about your business model. So you said how your algorithm finds different patterns that fit the solution, and then you upgrade that and you make it fit the customer's wants. So after that, like how do you sell that idea to the customer? Do you sell them the rights to the IP, or do you get like a percentage of each package that they sell? Like how does that work?
So there are different potential models we have. It's also always depending on the customer by itself or brand owner or converter. How much are they interested to? So they can get exclusivity in just only their space, for example. They can also have a co-development. Sorry. They can also get just exclusivity for certain years on the market, meaning they are protected that we would go to the main competitors to them. And also, certainly they could, it didn't occur yet, if they would be willing to spend basically all the money into the development, but usually they are not willing to. They could also theoretically ask if they get the whole IP. Theoretically, it didn't occur yet, as I said. And then maybe our commercial team would agree on, okay, if you're really willing to pay everything, you might get also the background IP at the end. So the patent, what is the IP? So I'm sorry, I'm using abbreviations, so stop me if you don't know the word. IP is an intellectual property, what could be a patent, for example. So yeah, different strategies on that end. And this is also something to mention that why we are also competitive is that we are quite flexible. We're still such a small and young company, so we can change and adapt much more easier and much more faster according to the needs our customer, our clients, or our partner have. Also, to give you, Anja, again, that you mentioned at the very beginning that you had also this very broad business model. We at the beginning had also much broader space we wanted to enter, but we were quite young and small, and because we were so small, we could dynamically change our decisions according to what is actually the need and according to where we can enter the best space, basically, and make the most change at the end.
Perfect. Okay, can you show us, please, your team again?
Of course.
Yeah, the last, I think.
Wonderful.
This one, yeah. So, how is your group structured? So, how many? Not really by the points. I don't want to know 10 people here, 15 people there, but a little bit from the point of percentage. How many people you have on which kind of division? On how do you name your divisions, and what do you think from your current state of knowledge now of the development of the company and the development of the market? Or do you think you will invest more people there? Because it won't be, I think it will be always a mix. So what do you think are the prosperous jobs for the future? Who will maybe become faster in the company and driving bigger? Who will be maybe a little bit more slowing down and doing more the basic? What is the kind of mixture and all that?
Of course. So at the moment we have, I think, 5 departments. But just generally, you see all the people, just only 30 to 40% are actually in Hamburg located. The rest is remote, either in other parts of Germany, or some are in Italy, some are in England, Portugal, and so on. Mostly still European based, because a lot of people who are coming, who are applying or also entering our team are out of Europe. They usually move to our place. And they get the whole visa process, and we make this happening for them to actually get themselves relocated in Germany, for example. Just like this. And exactly, we have 5 divisions. We have at one hand the product team, so everything more or less when it comes to deciding what is the best product, talking to the customers and so on. This is also where I'm based. Then we have the research team, what is in the development phase much earlier even. So they are the one who are creating those primary data, who are actually also having an operational facility on our big space, creating biotechnology, polymaterials through fermentation process. And so this is much more closer to like academia research kind of, but then they will eventually also give us potential materials we can then from the product brief bring into our product development and into the market. So then we have the whole commercial part, what is sales, procurement, and customer conversation and so on. And then we have the big one, what is our data team? So the ones who are actually making the algorithm, who are looking into the data, who are collecting the data, who are automatizing processes and so on. And then we have the people team, meaning HR. We have a people happiness person, basically, who's looking into our needs, our mental health and so on. And also classic office managers, of course, stuff like that. So, and currently, what was growing the most, the past, was actually the commercial team, but it was also underrepresented before. So the focus at the very beginning was to build up this product team, all the technology knowledge, basically, to actually have there an asset of knowledge available to create something. And this is now being like kind of circuit around that we have actually also commercial people who are then able to sell it and to make the marketing happening. And then also the data people, who is the second biggest team, who, as I said, make the whole automation happening and so on. And I guess in future, what will happen mostly is to also have more research capacities, to actually look into even more materials potentially. So more from the natural science perspective. I think the data team won't grow much more in the next time. There are already like 5 people now, what is quite a big percentage when you look into 35. So what we will have mainly more is something also on the organizational level. So more like heads of, who are then looking into how to connect also our learnings. So this is something else what we need to constantly think about. How do you actually make also our learning sustainable in the end of sustainable growth, that we are not losing really helpful information throughout the way why we're growing. So more on a manager level and making sure that everything is interlinked, that the team is working well, and that the departments are enough information to make it as most efficient as fast as possible to come to our goal.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to see how the team has developed. I'm working with them now since relatively exactly 1 year. I don't know, Mara, when we met first in Hamburg, but that was end of October or early November last year.
yeah.
And I think it was a group of 10 people, something like that. Now it's nearly 50, 40 people.
Yeah, nearly 40.
Nearly 40, so 4 times what has been a year ago. Very, very interesting. And I mean, it's very good. It's a diverse team, male, female, different nationalities. The only thing which is missing in terms of diversity is young and old, but the old comes in through the advisors like me. So that's very interesting and very good to work with the team.
Mm. I guess so. From my experience in the you know that you said one of your biggest advantages that you're so small and so flexible in the market, and now you're already hitting 40. There's an old rule: hitting 100 becomes a completely different organizational structure, and all these fast-moving effects are gone. So, do you have does your company have kind of saying, okay, I think you are so aware as well with your happiness manager that you say, okay, this is we stop growing for a moment and we settle. I think you're really capable to do that, huh?
Yes, so this will also happen quite soon, that we're not stopping to grow, but that we are kind of being in a plateau. And as I said, now we are more into having those, like overseeing people to make, to actually make sure that we're still in the same pace, that we're still the same flexibility, that we're not losing our core features and our core missions and visions. So
you mentioned as well you got venture capital, is that right?
yes.
Yeah, and did you find the venture capitalists who will understand a growth strategy like this?
Can't really tell you honestly. This is out of my knowledge.
Yeah,
This
okay.
would be something
I
what
mean,
my founder.
Yeah.
one of the founders or both founders, they have worked with venture capital, risk capital companies before. So I
Okay.
mean, they are. It's not a secret. They have collected 10 million euros in the second round, which is very good. So there is financing for the next two years. That's something you can read in publication. I would not disclose something else. So yes, there is a lot of there are a lot of venture capital companies who are willing to invest in startups with more risk, and especially if these startups are located in the, let's say, green space, sustainability space. So that's very good. I want to bring for the people in the call the 40 people into a perspective. This week I was with a customer in the UK, and the supplier of the customer, they have 90 employees, and they create a turnover of 25 million British pound with packaging materials. So this is, I mean, totally different. This is a manufacturing company, and this is a research and development company. But just to bring things in a perspective for you, 25 million British pound is $25 million, 25 million euro, more or less. So you could see that the expectation as well from the capital sector there will be quite intense, that 1.5 will create turnover in the years to come. Of course, they are all aware that it is not this year and probably not much next year, but turnover and later on profit has to come.
I think the same. I think the same. Yeah. Even if companies, I remember what Christine said as well, that she's trying, turnover is not the point anymore for her. She's trying to go and widen her march in niche areas. But if you want to tackle a niche area, you need the specific data, you need the possibility to do that. I think you are always in these fields. So even if the bigger companies are changing their strategies, they need what you have, so or what you propose, and that makes it so interesting, charming, and for yourself and the company so sustainable, as far as I understand that right. Can we open can we change and open? Do you have again a slide, or that we see everybody and you guys come into the into our conversation?
Yeah, just stop presenting then.
Yeah, it's just a question. If Mara, are you ready? Or no slide anymore? Hello, Mariah.
Hi, how is everybody doing?
Yeah, we went through the, but thank you for coming and joining. So just follow up a little and bring in yourself as far as you can. So it's nice you are here. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Especially because Mariah is now here. Not coming only up with some questions, coming up with a little feedback, and give Mariah, with your feedback, the chance. I would like that you summarize a little bit what you understood so far. And if you come with questions, fine for me, fine for us. But maybe somebody can summarize a little bit the understanding of 1.5, or what you could take away from Mara's presentation. Who's the brave one who starts that? Okay, definitely not me, because I was asking most of the questions by now.
Yeah, okay, then I'll summarize the process of making the package, because that's what really stood out to me. So she spoke about how she gets to what the customers request or what they want out of the product, and they have the 1.5 algorithm which sorts out the different patterns. There's 54 million patterns that are available now, and filters out what exactly the customer needs and suits that. And I think based on that, they improve or modify it to suit what the customer wants. And after that, they go through the development process and scaling up and distribution and all that. And one question that I asked was about the business model, which she responded with that it's actually very varied, and that sometimes they sell like sometimes they get a percentage of it, or depending on how much the customer contributes to the process of production, or formulation of the product.
What really, with all the knowledge you had before, what was your biggest takeaway now from that? Mara give you more insights than we had before, what we could see on the web pages or everywhere. So was that something that surprised you, or what you think is a challenge in the future, or what do you think what really interesting?
Yeah, the interesting part was actually the algorithm, because I just thought they just developed a product and they sold that. I didn't think they would make it tailor-made to each thing. And I've never actually heard of someone else doing that. So I found that really interesting. And that's what really stood out to me. Because coming in, I just thought it was they just made beverage products like based on what I saw on their website. So I think that's really cool what they're doing with the algorithm and all those things.
Okay, Mara? Mara? I thought you wanted to say something because you unmute yourself. No. I want to do two things now. I would like to know what you really get away and what you really understood. We repeat the learning in that point. And as well, Thomas and Mara, you can refresh again in this and bring your insights in this again when you see there are some lackings or maybe some other points, maybe some other priorities as well. And on the other hand, I would like, because you really got information from the website and from LinkedIn, and you saw Thomas and Mara now 2 times, 3 times. So what is now coming up for you if you hear now about 1.5? So what is different? Tabitha, from your point of view. Mariah cannot come in now, but Tabitha, you can.
You're asking what's different following the
What is the takeaway from this, from all what you known before, what you heard about them, what you read about them, what was your first impression when you read about that company, that startup, and what it is now when you see when she opens the package to this, what is inside of 1.5? Is there something what you would never have expected? Is that what they shown up, what you understood anyway? So where are you on that page?
I think I'm equally on the same page. I understand a bit stronger where 1.5 is going and how it originated. I think you have a very important company. I think it's quite exciting. I like the fact that you showed us the technology that's in development for packaging. I suppose if I had one question in the very beginning, actually, part of your I think it was maybe the mission statement, there was you mentioning that you see a measurable impact to the clients, and I wanted to know like how you measure it, like whether it's in profits or in increased recyclability of people's products, or if it changes per client maybe.
So when we look into measuring, this is always depending on the product at the end. So we can look into life cycle assessment. What is the classic approach? What is actually, I guess you're familiar with that, just for me to recheck, life cycle assessment.
And that refers to like how frequently a product can be reused, or?
So the life cycle assessment can look into a product on different ways, meaning you are looking into the production of the product, of the raw material, where it's coming from, where it's been processed, where it's been distributed, and all those different CO2 emissions factors are taken in there, meaning not only CO2, but CO2 equivalents. So you can also look into other emitting or polluting substances, what you can recalculate in a CO2 equivalent emission, meaning, for example, volatile organic solvents or generally volatile organic molecules can have a much higher impact into the greenhouse warming effect than others, but you can recalculate it in CO2. And an assessment of that can be, for example, from the very beginning to the end of life. So either recycling or either landing in a landfill and so on. And then you can see actually how much it has an effect in each potential space, so the process and so on. And those are the LCAs, shortly for life cycle assessment, can be done for every process, every product, and so on. There are also standards, so norms like the DIN norm or ISO norm, what the European Union at least, but also globally, we try to come to a conclusion what is actually the best of practice is still in developing. there are already standards out there, but still in development fast to make it more common that this is a tool to be used. And this is something where we can definitely have a transfer of impact in the sense of we're looking into what they currently have and how much less impact our would have, or even better impact on other things like biodiversity. So you want to have a better impact on biodiversity, because monoculture, for example, is also leading to the point that a lot of birds or insects or something are dying and extinguishing and so on. So different sectors. Another point where we can definitely look into is something like recyclability, definitely. So especially if you look into paper packaging, you have repulpability basically, and then you look into numbers like how much of actual fibers are coming back, what you can reuse, and how much of reject, what you can't recycle is actually going on. So those numbers you can also compare. And also at the very end, what we will also try is to have less material being used. So you have a lower amount of material what needs to be distributed, but what also needs to be produced to make this packaging happening. And by less distribution, you will have less weight and less fuel consumption. And all those points can at the end be addressed and communicated to the customers where we can be better and more sustainable.
Oh, that was very
I
comprehensive.
have to leave you now. It was a very, very nice answer, Mara. I like it. Relates to my LinkedIn post from this morning.
Oh, I did not see it yet. I will
Enjoy the weekend.
Hey, Thomas.
See you.
Bye.
Bye, Jason.
I didn't see it. So, any more questions? So I'm not alone. I was talking to Gerald. Actually, he would have been very interested in your platform, Mara. How everything about the algorithm and everything about how it's going to. You want to show yourself? He's actually here, but he's in the dark. So can you come into the picture for a second?
Hello. Hi.
So we have the two of us.
Okay.
So I just called him in for a moment to see how we do it, because he's developing actually a product and he never saw we having a session. So it's a chance that we are at one place at the moment. So
Yeah. Great to meet everyone.
yeah.
Darling.
Nice to meet you too.
Nice to meet
So guys, for Mara, please. Yeah. So we are alone again. Just some more questions. Your company language is English, even when you're in Hamburg?
Yes, I mean, sure, with other German speakers, and when we're just German speakers in a meeting room, we speak basically in German. But I also have to say, as the company language is in English, and as we always use the term in English, we don't really speak proper German then, even when we speak German. Meaning all the technical terms, like something like barrier, heat sealability, and all those things we still use in English. Meaning, for example, also when I had my first German customer, and I knew this conversation will be happening in Germany, I actually needed to sit down and translate things for me, because I didn't know that in German. I never used them in German because as my studies were in English. So yeah, I needed to relearn my own language on that.
Yeah, that's actually a really important message from my idea when I try to get German students on the page for this as well. And we say we're working in English, and then they always say, okay, why we don't speak that properly. But even to have access to the universities, it's important to speak English properly. So, and because most of the terms for all these topics are in English, in informatics and in the biomaterials, and So yeah, I hope that progresses a little bit in Germany as well. Not only on the international universities, even on the other ones. Shivani, any question? I did not hear anything from you today. Yeah.
Hi, Anya. I'm sorry, I just got back from the hospital, so I couldn't speak there really because it's a silence on and stuff. Yeah, yeah. I was really interested about the algorithm Mara was talking about. Uh, I spent a considerable amount of time researching papers, even for school projects. I prefer looking up a lot of past papers and publications. So yeah, it is something I spend a lot of time on. And I think the algorithm sounds very interesting because that could be an amazing tool for all students. And yeah, I'm just very interested in it. Like, it makes the task easier and it's very, interesting, very intriguing. So I was very curious about it. And I hopefully will get to know more about it if I can. I'll try learning more about it. I never really thought about it this way. So probably I should. And yeah, other than that, I think the way one.five works from trying to solve the problem from the product brief to the end solution, and also Mara's idea on computing the end products, trying to figure out their efficiency. I think it was very comprehensive, and I got to know a lot of important stuff from them. So yeah, I think that's my key takeaways from today.
Okay.
Thank you. I mean, unfortunately, I can't know about the algorithm because it's also not, it's beyond my expertise, basically. No, I mean, I totally get Shivani on that. Like, when I first worked with our tech people too about this, and I was like, oh my God, this would have been amazing during my studies. Because it's so exhausted sometimes to read and read and read and read and read all the same information. But yeah, and we don't really know yet if this actually is also a product from ourselves that we might be also licensing out so other people can use it too. This is an idea, but let's see.
Why not? I think time will show that. That's a nice thing. You have so many possibilities. The needs are
definitely, but the question is always, do you want to keep something like this as a trade secret, or do you want to make it something for making direct profit or only indirect profit on it? It's a big decision at the end.
Yeah, but therefore, that's, I think it's very nice that you have, of course, you have Thomas on the side. Your founder is familiar with all the financial, with the way how it goes in that pace, and I think there he knows exactly when it's time to market to change as well as strategy in that. And I think it has a lot to do with the strong market position and where you work out your advantage that people cannot follow up so easy in this, and then you can change your strategy on that. So you're very well covered on all the information you need to make a decision like that as well and reduce the risk on that. So that's as well a big advantage what I rarely see in startups. That is the reason that we have a high, I don't know, I followed up a little bit before meeting Mara as well on the startup scene in Europe, and we had some unicorns as well. I never know where they go to, where they end up in India, because they called out as unicorns, but then you're not hearing a long time. But now there was a study coming out how many startups dying after having even a good financial round. So they got a lot of money in the beginning, and then they have a period, and then they die. And you're not hearing anything anymore. I don't know what happens then finally with them and with the money as well, what is blowing into them. But obviously they don't find the people in the important steps, what is to prioritize in the different phases. And sometimes maybe they're so, as you said before, we needed the product. That is so, I think that is a killing thing for many startups. So they're very good on the product, they're going and they have no sales, the distribution is lacking, they're not building up the other things, and they're not knowing how. They think they have the market and they know about the market, but they didn't sell it. So if that is coming too late, it becomes very difficult and they die at that point. And but that is not the only one. Sometimes, and as well, I think even there you are very well. It is, you know, you're very technology based on all the different areas. So where to find the people for that? So you have now, I think, a good number of people. So that is there you can really go in many directions. But imagine you would have stuck with the 10. And then the 10 not balanced like that. That is that could have been as well a criteria what could have been very difficult. And Europe is looking for good people in these fields, and they're not produced like that. So even here you are already English spoken, so you open that point as well for you. Not many people do that either. So I see a lot of amazing assets on your side next to that you have. We had for Action for Happy Kids, we had as well a happiness minister, but she got lost in the Philippines. No, she's too busy now, but we had a happiness minister, was only running around in between the different people. It was Kim, and she worked very close with me, and she was always bringing the people on the page and telling them and never demanding. It's true, Mariah, isn't it? So she was never demanding, was always say, okay, do you need support? Can I help you somewhere? And she never said, why it's not ready or something. Why did you not do this? So it was actually very great, but I didn't hear it in company so far.
Yeah, with this we are super unique, and she was actually employed in the same time as I was 1.5 years ago, where we are only 5 people before we came. So yeah, it was an important step from the very beginning to address potential health issues, potential roadblockers for the people, because you want, if you create expertise, and this is what we also do in the company, right? We're getting people who are maybe not that technology known and expertise before, but we make them to in the progress when they're onboarding, when they're working with us. And you want to take those people and you want to keep them as long as possible, right? Because they're an investment for you. And to make this happen, everybody has different needs, everybody has different problems, everybody has different potential obstacles to get over, and we need to address it, and we need to make sure that we're not becoming the same corporate where everybody's the same, where everybody thinks the same and looks and talks and walks the same, right? That we stay a high diverse company, because only like this we can stay flexible.
So true, and so obvious, and so rarely made. So
because it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to measure happiness. You can't quantify everything like this, right? And therefore it doesn't give necessarily direct numbers. And a lot of people always want to have direct numbers, direct sales, direct quantification of success. And something like this you can't quantify happiness.
No, but creativity, you see, if you like to work there, you're happy, you have creativity, you have a stability, your mental health is developing definitely different, and you have the resilience factors around you. So I think it sounds still a little bit crazy, but we have had times before when we had the new market. I was very active in the new market many years ago. There have been a lot of startups coming, and they had these ideas as well of life-working balance, and of really working agile and in different structures. When the market was breaking down, the new market was breaking down because it was overloaded. Then unfortunately all these good ideas coming up with this, they been stigmatized as fancy ideas. So unfortunately they could not really come into a new future. But I think the time now is different, and I love that these good concepts coming back into force again, and can see, and people can see there are still people like me around, and they can see, yeah, it was already a good way in this. Now this is the way how to do it today, to really to change something in a system change. And that is an example of a system change already. It's beautiful. Harshit, I asked him to take the meeting notes today, so I don't know if you really could follow up and can give you a feedback now. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. My connection was a little bit iffy because like it was breaking throughout. But from what I heard, I really understood how much action we can take and what organizations can take to create positive change for the economy, while also making it more circular by using more environmentally friendly practices. And this initiative sort of put to light what, like, especially what can be done in the future going forward, especially in countries like India, where the system and the framework for efficient management of resources is not present. So, and also help me connect ideas with how I can take my startup forward, like the one I mentioned about before, along the lines of gamifying plastic disposal and protecting animals from the harm that plastic's causing and them from ingesting plastic and things like that. So it was very insightful. But however, I could not completely follow in that session, so meeting notes a little bit broken.
No need in this, because I sent you the recordings. So meeting notes.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Really, really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm prepared for everything today. Okay.
And it was great meeting Tex today, and it was really enjoyable, like having a conversation and like really questioning and understanding and getting practical knowledge about the whole theoretical concepts we've been discussing over the last few sessions. Yeah, that's about it from my end.
Thank you. Mara, anything from your end today?
We will see us next week, right? So take your time to digest. We will there next week. So when you have any more questions, I'm happy to answer them also then.
Yeah, great. Yeah. No.
Okay.
Yeah, we go for next week again. I will do as well a post. I will check what Thomas has posted, because I was sleeping 12 hours non-stop and I did not see it. And Harshik, I really wait for your meeting notes, because and we will talk just a few minutes among us how to reflect on this session. So we can do this, and tomorrow, we have another session with Ike. That is a completely different one. It's about the African generation and his award-winning movie. And he will talk about not a little bit, he will give you insights about Africa. He will give you insights of the generational development, and as well about how to translate stories and messages in powerful movies, even videos. Hasn't got to be a big movie like he did, but even videos. And I think it is a different approach. But always I like to match somebody like this in all these sessions for the creativity and how to bring a message into life. It's a very important thing in our times. A very powerful thing. So Mara, of course, you're always invited. I know it's your life balance day, and I understand more who is behind you. The happiness minister. And yeah, but
Actually,
you're always invited.
I actually, thank you. I actually had a day off today.
Oh, don't tell her.
Oh no, it's fine.
I will fake the
she will be okay.
Post.
No, it's good. No, I would jump out.
Yes.
And as I said, when there's another question coming up, you can also let Anja know up front, and she will send it over. So I could theoretically prepare up front if you wish to like, just for you to know.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
I wish everyone a nice weekend.
Yes, you as well. Thank you for your free time
you.
giving us today. It's even more valuable. And yeah, I'm so happy to have you on our side. I was happy before, I'm even more happy today. Okay.
See you soon.
See you soon. Have a good weekend. Bye. Nobody's skipping, please.
Bye.
I keep on you for a few minutes. I really would like to do. Oh no, I don't. It hasn't got anything to do what I would like. We have to go to do a good post on it, and therefore I will see with Gerald here how I can do this, because I don't like to open our recordings on YouTube. That is just a technical thing I could not solve. I know, because we don't say it before, nobody will see it, but you don't know. Maybe with this session, it's not so important, so I close it up later again. But if I do it for a private group like I did last time, and I sent the link around, nobody could open it. So that was a little bit stressful for me and for you. So I will do the recording. I will set it free for some time for the weekend. So please do your reflections on that. The reflections for tomorrow, you know, because you have another session tomorrow, you please do it, because if, I know it's double work, but we won't get any mentors anymore, and you won't have the reflections on the meetings if you're not doing it. So I would like that you go through the recording. Oh my God, I can stop it now.